Hello, everyone. Kyra here. Have you ever coded poor mental health for your friends or family members? Now, what does that mean? That's a lot of words that may not have meaning to a lot of people. My dog is beneath the table, so she's loving me right now to just be close. So what does that look like? If you're somebody who has a positive mindset, a positive state of being naturally, right? You're doing pretty good, right? And all of your thoughts are pretty good and they're all headed in the right direction. And then you go out drinking with the friends or, guy friends or family members or something like that. And they start to talk about things that are kind of low vibes, right? It could be just kind of complaining about the day and work and other relationships and friendships and people you may have no issue with at all, but all of a sudden they're bringing those kinds of things into the equation. So if you're somebody like me who has PTSD, maybe complex PTSD, and who struggles with melding to the situation, right? So coding is kind of like when we will act and talk and be like the person we're around so that they are going to like us better, right? Because people like people who are like themselves. And so it's a natural defense mechanism that people who have been through trauma experience pretty regularly. And I am a melder. I will meld into any type of group, any type of situation. I will be whatever you want me to be, just as long as I can be there. And I know that in some regards, it can be very, very unhealthy. But in other regards, it can be really, really healthy because there might be people in my life, in my experience, that are really healthy and really good. And I noticed that when I was really at the peak of the really hard time in my life as an adult, I noticed that I was melded and coded with the wrong kinds of people for me. And so instead of just going, hey, can we lift the vibe of this experience? I just left. I actually literally moved states so that I wouldn't be around the people that I was around because I didn't at that time, this is more than 20 years ago, I didn't at that time know what this was or know why I was doing it. And really it just comes down to protection, feeling safe in a environment. And so then I started melding with people who were self-assured, who were clear, who were confident, who knew themselves, and they were very nurturing, kind-hearted folks as well. So I coded with them. But it was kind of adopted healing. It wasn't real healing in me. So even though I still will struggle with it from time to time, I know when I'm doing it at minimum. And so if I'm in a group of people and the vibe starts to take a dip and I stop coding, right? What I feel in that environment is like a disconnect. It's like metal on metal. And it's like, okay, so do I just excuse myself and go somewhere else? Or do I stay there and gently try to raise the vibe? Or do I just continue to code? And that is just a choice that I make internally. And I make it sometimes quickly. Sometimes it takes me a long time to make that full choice. But I like being a part of things. And I know that not everybody is where I am. So feeling, sometimes people have felt like you're being too positive, and I think that there's a really bad term out there right now called toxic positivity. It's true that if somebody is really, really repressed in their emotions and they're not being genuine and authentic and real with what they're feeling, and they're just putting this shellacking or overlay of positivity over things, yeah, that's going to be off-putting because we know it. We smell our own. Like we know when somebody is being authentic or not being authentic. We know it. We feel it. We sense it. So when we're looking at something like this, we take a minute, take a step back and go, what do I want my experience to be? Do I want to continue to code? Do I want to politely excuse myself from the experience? Or do I want to see what happens when I go positive? And you'll get very, very clear about where you're spending your energy in any one of those areas. In any one of those areas. If you're coding negativity, negative, poor mental health, you're going to stay low. You're going to have low vibe. It's not going to feel good. You're eventually going to start adopting bad habits, stuff like that around those types of people. If you excuse yourself politely, you'll see and sense how that feels in you. So if it comes from a place of trauma, you're going to feel what it feels like to choose yourself in that moment and say, oh gosh, okay, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling like I'm ignoring the group, or I'm not good enough for the group, or I don't know. Any number of things could pop up as a result of you making a new choice that's for your health. And then the going against the grain piece, which is that metal on metal feeling, you can feel really different from everyone. And so while you're playing with this idea, know that you're loved in it. No matter whether you continue to code and you might slip downhill a little bit, fine. Whether you choose to excuse yourself, fine. See what comes up for you, what belief systems start to come in, and then going metal on metal and saying, no, I'm not doing this, guys. I am too aware of my energy, but you cannot make them responsible for your happiness in that, okay? When you do that, it's going to feel off-putting to them because they may just be wanting to vent. They may just want to, it could be a family member who's trying to work something out, but they don't quite know how to do it, and they don't have a therapist or something like that in their life. And so they're just trying to express. So them doing that is perfectly normal. It's okay that they're doing it. So you don't want to blame them and be like, well, you should be more positive. That's blame, right? That's blame. You're not accepting them where they are, and so it doesn't mean you have to stay there in it. So since I know my tendency is to meld in a group to feel safe, I get to make new choices. And one choice that I tend to make more often is just excusing myself from the situation. And then every once in a while, there'll be those times where if there's negativity being brought in, then what I'll do is I'll just counterbalance it a bit with some positivity in a very gentle way. And so what that would look like would be something like, well, he's a jerk and he doesn't love me and he sucks and all this kind of stuff, something like that. And he's treating me bad. Okay. So then I might ask a few questions and go, tell me more about that. Or, I hear you. You're telling me that he doesn't love and appreciate you right now, or he's not seeming to love and appreciate you right now. So what is it that you want to do differently? If I'm having a conversation with somebody, if it's just, vent fest, then it's like, I'm just going to sit over here and, and just let it go, or leave. But if somebody is really asking for something, then I might say some things. But ultimately, it's none of my business. And ultimately, even if you leave, their opinion about you leaving is none of your business. So you get to make your choices and love yourself, even if you do some coding from time to time, which if you have been traumatized in the past, it is a very natural symptom of that trauma, because what you're trying to do there is you're trying to stay safe in an environment. And even if it's a, mostly positive environment, you may still have that tendency to code and to meld with that group. But within all groups, there can be some level of dysfunction, right? Because we are in this world of dysfunction, right? So we're learning and we're growing and we're developing, and we all have these things that we can bring to the table in this lifetime. And some of those things are wanted, some of them aren't. So we're just deciding on what works best for us in these group, family, work dynamics to decide How do we want to be? How do we want to feel? So I'm not asking you to stop coding. I'm not asking you to stop melding, because there is a reason why we do it, and it is for safety. It is for safety. And so if we want to feel safe, we got to do what we can to allow the experience to unfold. We gather our information, and then we make new choices. That's it. It doesn't have to be any bigger than that. It's not about them or them being wrong or them doing anything differently. It's about what happens in you as a direct result of what has happened to you. And sometimes having a very calm, clear conversation about that can be healthy in these group dynamics, whether it's groups or families. And you say, hey, look, I've noticed that our conversation has gone somewhere that I don't feel comfortable with, and it's pretty consistent. And it is not your fault. You have done nothing wrong. I'm just learning about myself right now. And you don't like me, or this is not what. Nope, not even close to being about that. It is about my inability to hold my own energy and be clear on who I am in this group dynamic, and it has nothing to do with you. This might not ever be anything that you actually ever say to anyone ever, but it might be something that you have in your mind, a conversation in your mind. I have made up my mind on when I notice the melding start to happen, or I notice that I'm starting to code and I'm being pulled in a negative direction, right? I am going to make a new choice, and this is the new choice I'm going to do my best to make. And here it is. So you have something preemptively in your mind instead of being in the moment of it. Now, if you've coded so much with a group or a family construct or something like that, and it's just taken you out emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever it might be, and it doesn't lift you up, it doesn't make you feel good, it just tends to grate on those limiting beliefs that we all share, that we all have. It may be time to address how you want to show up in the group, what it is you want to continue to get from the group, and is that group right for you? So taking those things in consideration can be really helpful. So remember that even if you're in a group construct where everybody's happy, everybody's up, everybody is like joyful, happy, free, that is a great place to be to code. However, don't mistake that for real health, because if you just go right into a different group and that different group takes you down with energy and this other group takes you up with energy, that means that it potentially means, or we could take meaning as, we're not holding our own space. And I love feeling good in groups. I do. But I'll tell you what feels even better. When I'm holding my own space, I'm holding that dominant energy for myself, and the group and the feeling and everything is so much richer, so much more beautiful, so much more clear, so much more loving, so much more genuine, so much more easy, right? And it's just amplified that much more. And so how do you get there? It just takes time. It takes time. It takes realization around certain issues that you have, and then knowing that you get to make new choices, and you don't have to be blamed for those choices, and you don't have to blame yourself for those choices. You're just getting to choose again, and you deserve to do that. Good. All right. I'm Kyra, and I will talk to you again later. Bye.